Welcome back to the Advanced Selling Podcast, the longest running sales training podcast history. I'm one of your hosts, Bill Caskey.
Host number 2, Bryan Neal here.
We've been together for just over 18 years.
Fun ride.
Still like each other for the most part.
Right. I love it. It's great. We had a great listenership. Good brand. Yeah.
I would say we probably have some people who have been with us since the beginning.
Be interesting to hear from those people, wouldn't it? Listener at advancedsellingpodcast.com.
Yeah, let us know.
Lifelong listener or episode 1 or something. Just note that in the listener at advancedsellingpodcast.com. If you have been with us for 18 years from the beginning, that'd be really cool to see the OGs.
That would be
the original.
And if you can text us a picture of yourself listening to the first episode.
Prove it. You got to prove it, right? Now, we know what we sounded like 18 years ago. We need to see what you sounded like 18 years ago.
Exactly.
Let's see. You've got a special. Will this be in time for the Insider Special? Will this episode be up?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. We've got an Insider program. It's called the Personal Business Planning Workshop. It's on December 6th. If you're thinking about joining the Insider for next year, I would recommend you do it before the 6th so you get access to that session. It's a public session. There'll be a fee for it, but with the Insider deal, you'll be able to get it about half what it is for everybody else. And what we're going to do is we're going to go through where are you going, and how can we use AI to help you build a game plan to that destination. And we've been working on prompts. We've hired a guy to help us with prompts. And we've got something really special for you. So even if you just want an introduction to AI, it'll be a great session. 2 hours long, December 6th, 12 to 2 Eastern. I think it's $47 to join.
And where do they go? They go to advancedsellingpodcast.com/insider.
That is correct.
Right? Join up there. It'd be worth the AI stuff. I'm just telling you. Okay. We've got our second of a series here, but we're talking about ultra high achievers. We did thinking last episode. Today we're going to be doing. But I'm going to text Bill something. We'll post this up so you all can see this too. But I'm going to send something to Bill. It's a picture on text. Now you're not going to be able to see this on the YouTube screen here. I don't think. Let's maybe turn my phone around. And Bill, I just sent this text to you. Tell me when you get it. You should see a picture there.
Okay, it looks like 2 or 3 colors. 2 or 3 colors. Yeah, so it's a picture. So so you've got kids. I've got kids. So I said this is a picture that my daughter made when she was in elementary school. Okay.
Fair enough.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And I'm going to text you another picture. All right. Now that second picture is coming over. And I want you to now, when you get this one, read what it says the first picture actually is. Because it's not what I told you it was. But I want you to read what it says.
You told me it was your daughter's stab art project.
Yeah. And you believed me.
The second, and we'll have Travis. I think he can put this into the feed here. Mark, the second one says, Mark Rothko's Untitled Yellow and Blue became the 3rd most valuable Western artwork ever sold in Asia, achieving $253 million.
I'm telling you, people, when you see this, when I saw this, there it is. Bill can show it. What am I? I respect artists. I respect art collectors. What am I missing? Bill, I'm the worst artist ever. I could draw this thing.
You could do that
in 8 minutes in my basement. I don't understand this. And I know art people get all like, oh, look at the depth and watch the contrast. Is this guy still alive? Mark Rothko? I don't even know. But if he is, he wins, man. I mean, he wins. He won life. This picture couldn't have taken him more than 10 minutes to do. Now everyone's going to get super offended by that. But I'm like, what are we doing?
My caramel greyhounds, you have pretty much put the caramel greyhound colors in there. So somebody from Carmel should have thought of this. I would have funded all their new buildings and everything.
200. And then I'm like, okay, is that in a museum that spent $253 million? And if they do, what size of endowment do they have? If it's an individual, this has to be a billionaire. There's no other math that works if you're not a billionaire.
Right.
So a painting for $253 million that literally looks like someone took yellow at the top and blue at the bottom and even got outside the lines on the left-hand side.
Intentionally, I'm sure.
I don't know. And there's so much more art that looks like so much more complex and more difficult that sells for $1,000, at a consignment shop. So,
and somebody would say, well, it's the story behind it too.
Is it though? Okay. Then
I don't know. What is the story?
For $253 million.
That's the story. Yeah.
People gripe about, we don't have money for this program or that program and this thing. Like, how about we take just 200 million of the 253 here and put it into a lunch program for kids or something. I don't know.
That's funny.
So if you're a big art person, I'm sorry, but this just makes this one just, I'm like, they got us.
That's huge.
You know?
I love that.
Anyway,
Okay. Today we're going to move into part of our series on ultra high achiever attributes. Last week we talked about how do ultra high achievers think? And again, if you didn't join us last time, ultra high achievers, those people who are at the tippy top of the spear. They're the 1 to 3% who just seem to operate at a different level. You may or may not be one. I'd say 99% of us are not that. But Bryan and I over the years have worked with those people and have, both some of them as clients now. And we just want to share some of the things. So we talked about how they think today, how they do, what they do.
What they do.
What they do and how they do it. Yeah.
Yep. So I did bring something up at the end of last episode I want to start with just to get your take on. And we talked about that this group is a very special group. These are outliers, way ahead of their, like they're make their own rules. And we said, well, some of the average or even above average people assume that they're doing the same thing, just different. Once they're exposed, once these average or just above average achiever people learn what those ultra high achiever people are doing and they still don't do it, what's the cause? Is it that they don't want to, or they don't know how, or both? Or am I missing something?
Okay, so the person who hears this and knows they have the possibility they could be an ultra high achiever, but they don't think what we've told them to think, and they're not doing what we're going to tell them today.
Yeah.
What's behind that resistance? I think the how figures in. It's probably percent how. And what was the other one?
Do they just choose not to?
Choose not to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
Both. I think it's a good question for people listening to ponder a little bit. Even if you've listened to Bill and me, that's right, correct English, right? To Bill and me, yes.
Mm-hmm.
For a year or 2 years or 10 years, or you're one of the OGs that we mentioned last time, just send us a note, listener@advancedsellingpodcast.com. Tell us you're an OG. We want to hear from you. Even you've heard us give advice on things. Start a podcast, buy a video camera, do a video series, and you haven't done it. You should ask yourself, why haven't I done that yet? These guys I've been listening to these guys for 15 years. They've said this over and over, and I still haven't done it. Why haven't I done it? Just look in the mirror. Listen to yourself. Just ask the wonder why question. I wonder why I haven't done that yet.
That's where I would begin. That's exactly where I tell people to begin to understand where is the flow of resistance. What external or internal, probably more internal forces are at work when you know you should do something and you don't do it.
Yes.
And part of the time I think it's an imposter syndrome. It's who am I to shoot a video? Who am I to start a channel? Who am I to take matters into my own hands and have extreme ownership? And sometimes just makeup. We're just not made up that way.
Yeah.
It's just not. So
there's another part to this that I just want to, before we go into the actual exact do's, that I just want to address. It is okay to tap out of ultra high achievement.
Mm-hmm.
It's a thin group for a reason. And it doesn't matter the reason. If it's a conscious choice and you know it and you're comfortable with that, then I'm like, go for it. You're like, I just have no desire to do it for any reason. I'm like, there's space for that. I think sometimes, especially in America, we get so addicted to everybody should be that, everybody should win. I'm like, I don't really think so. It's okay. But if what you can't do, this is what we're solving for in the podcast. You can't look at those people and yearn to be them or have envy or jealousy or think that they're different than you. And that's why that doesn't sit well. So that's the last thing I'll say about that.
Yeah, I think we talked about this the first episode last week. We talked about our beliefs and the belief of I could never be that. I could never be like Bryan. And that's one thing. We don't want you to be like Bryan or Bill or whomever you're identifying, because it's easy to say, well, I could never do that because that's him and he was born privileged and he had $1 million from his dad or what. You can't look at that. You have to look at that and say, do I have it within me to be better at what I do, to take some risks, to think differently? Is it within me? And of course, it's within all of us.
Mm-hmm.
We just decide we may not choose to do it. But let's get to the do's because I think it'd be good. So here, I'll start. You started last time and you did like 100 and
I did too.
I think that to do, this is kind of a thinking, but it's also a to do, is there is a dramatic bias for action. there is a fast action. And Andy Bacone is one of our insiders, and he's in one of my other programs. And Andy changed positions, changed careers, and he is in the music business now, working with punk and heavy metal bands in England. And he was sitting in one of our meetings here a few weeks ago, and he said, I've been thinking about doing a rock concert in north of England sometime early next year. And we're all like, really? Well, have you ever done one? No, never done one. Do you know somebody does them? Nope, don't know. The next time we met 2 weeks later, he had it all scoped out. He had talked to 3 people. He had a date. He had several bands. He had some sponsors. And in 2 weeks, he created something he had never done before because of his bias for action.
Awesome.
Because he knew that if he let this thing simmer for a year, he would never do it.
Interesting.
And so my recommendation is, and I try to do this, although I'm not great at it, is when I have an idea, go take action. Even if it's hiring somebody on Fiverr to create a thumbnail for it or a brand look for it. And sometimes you look at it and say, now that I think about it, I don't want to do it. But sometimes you get it back and like, oh, this excites me. This is inspirational. So bias for action, I think, is the big tent of to-dos.
Gosh, it's so good. I think I mentioned Tom Bailey on here, who started Quest Nutrition, sold it, and I've just been in the past was like, I'm not sure, if he gives me good energy now. But recently on LinkedIn, especially, his stuff has been really useful. He just talks about it. He said, I built $1 billion company, I had no idea what to do or how to do it, and I just did it. And he said, I'm not that smart. And he's truly, I'm not saying he's not smart, but that's one of his things. He's like, you just got to do stuff. Just go.
So here's a recommendation to our listeners. Let's say that in 2025, you're all, I suspect that if you're listening to this, you're interested in lead generation of some kind. You're interested in developing new relationships, et cetera. Mm-hmm. What if you made a commitment that by July 1st of next year, not one of your leads comes from outbound activities. They all come from inbound. They all call you, book appointments, fill out an assessment. They invite you in, they roll out the red, whatever this is for you. What if all of your leads came inbound? Your first response would be, well, none of them come inbound now, so that ain't going to happen.
That's impossible.
Well, the question is, how? How could you make it happen? What would have to happen for all those? Well, I don't know, but one thing we'd have to do is we'd have to have better email addresses.
Yes.
Okay, check. What's another thing? And I think sometimes we stop with, well, that ain't going to happen because it's never happened. We don't go into the how. Elon Musk is great for that. It's like, well, how do we get this rocket to be caught by the structure? Well, that can't happen. Okay, well, how are we going to do it? Well, if you did that, you'd have to have, okay. And you just start listing off the things. So bias for action, that's just an example of, it can happen, but not if you don't have a bias for action.
Yes. And you're just not going to hurt anything either by acting. Huge. Okay, I'll say something that ultra high people do, and it's funny. They do, and I bet you listening do this too. If you're not one of these people, you do it in a different way. They plan everything. They plan everything. Yeah. Here's what's different. You plan your day. They plan their year at the same time. And when you're planning your quarter, they're planning their 3-year vision. And when you're planning your year, they're planning their 5 and 10-year vision. And that's the difference.
That's good.
They have a crystal clear plan, which includes action and how-tos that goes way further into time than everyone else's. That's the main thing too. So they're already thinking about 2026. And Elon Musk and Jeff Bezos are thinking about 2040 right now, 2050. And that's a huge difference that I see in average to moderately above average achievers plan their days.
Totally agree.
They plan their weeks a little bit.
And the to do there is they make time to do it.
Yeah.
So they schedule time, and I'm okay at this, but not great. I need to get better. I need to spend 8 hours planning next month.
Yes.
I need to spend 16 hours planning next quarter. I might need to spend a week planning next year. And everybody will say, well, that's absurd. How are you going to take a week out? But when it's like when you get ready to go on vacation, the 2 days before, you get more stuff done than you have for the last 6 months.
Yeah.
Because you have an end game. You got a checklist. You got a plan. Oh shit, I got to go call this guy and see if he wants to do you want to do business or not? You do. Okay, I'll call you when I get back.
Yeah.
And we get stuff done that way. But I think the plan allows us to put together the to-do list much easier.
Yes. It's bravo.
Yeah, it's good. I've got one more here, and then we'll, because we may need to do the say next time.
Yeah, no problems.
Okay. Here's a to-do is they take stock, and we talked about self-awareness last time, but they take stock of the learning they need to do when it comes to digital technology, AI. You mentioned there is no bridge too far for them to at least explore things. And I've got a client who he's easily $1 million guy. He's VP of sales, but he owns some stock in the company. And he says if I want to learn AI, I'll go hire a guy for $200 a day or an hour or whatever, and just have him come in and teach me.
Yeah.
Just because my time's too valuable to sit at YouTube watch. I just go hire somebody. They can come in, they can teach me how to do it, and I can give them applications, and that quickens the learning cycle. And it's cheap.
Yep.
Because at $1 million a year, your time's worth thousands of dollars an hour. Hire somebody whose time is not worth that, but they have expertise. But we don't think about that. We think, well, I guess I'll just go on YouTube and watch some videos. That's fine.
Yes.
At some point, you got to hire somebody to teach you, because that's going to save money and time.
Can I give one more?
Yeah, one more.
This is what they don't do. This is going to get me in trouble.
Okay.
You know what they don't do, Bill? These ultra high achiever people, they don't work from home. They don't work from home. And here's what I mean by that. You've got to be out in a marketplace to do all sorts of things, to run into people, to have accidental conversations, to get lucky, to be seen, to hear and listen, to bump into things. I've not found too many ultra high achiever people who have embraced work from home and sat and took the dog for a walk, logged in at 9, chilled out, had a little lunch, hung out, went on another walk at 3:30, stayed on Zoom all day with Zoom controlling your life. Yeah. They don't do that. They control their lives, and they are out. They are untethered from their desk and their Zoom and their computer, and they're present, physically present in a marketplace.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's what they do.
I assume even if it means going to workshops or going to a networking event.
All the above. Even better, all the above. You're just not going to find them hunkered down in and behind a computer all day and then complain, well, I have Zooms all day. I had Zooms, feel super busy at Zooms all day, but I need a break from the Zooms. I need a break from Teams, They don't do that. They're out moving around.
Out and about. I love that. Love that. That's good. Okay, so today we did to-dos. These are some things that and one not to do. Well, yes. It was a to-do, get out. Or not to do, don't stay at home.
Be out.
So hopefully you've enjoyed that. Let us know. Sync up with us on LinkedIn. Go to advancedsellingpodcast.com/LinkedIn. Tell us if you enjoy the show, if we put you off in some way. If you've been listening for 18 years and still don't like it, let us know.
Keep listening. Just keep fast forwarding through
You'll start to like us after 19 years.
Yeah. We might start charging here soon. So get all the free listening in you can. After 18 years, we're thinking about it.
If you are interested in a business planning session, I remind you, December 6th at noon to 2, you can go to advancedsellingpodcast.com/insider. You can get that at a discount. Join the Insider. Even if you join for a month, get into it and join us on December 6th. It's going to be an awesome session.
Love it.
It's always good to see you.
Next time we'll do ultra high achievers say things. What do they say?
What do they say?
Okay. See you next time.
All right. Bye.